Welcome to a new video. We have a lot of developments to cover as Ukrainian forces advance on the Minograd and Dnipro axes, seizing control of new areas with pushes up to 2 kilometers deep. Russian forces are attempting to repel these assaults using fortifications. The fighting is intense with fronts flaring up from Kharkiv all the way to Pokrovsk. Let's get started.
Minograd axis next. We move to the Minograd axis. In this specific direction, a significant development has occurred that deserves attention. Ukrainian forces have been using this area for some time as a launch pad for operations toward the towns of Mikhailivka and Myropiyivka, a zone that saw a previous breakthrough. The new development is that Ukrainian forces have once again managed to advance and reach the town of Mykolaiivka, while also infiltrating from the southern side of the town of Novoekonomichne, establishing control over the entire area shown in blue on the maps. This advance was not merely symbolic, it was a practical penetration with a depth of nearly 2 kilometers. The Ukrainian movements are clearly aimed at expanding their control and putting pressure on multiple axes at once. We're talking about 4 key towns here: Mikhailivka, Myropiyivka, Mykolaiivka, and Novoekonomichne. The Ukrainian objective is not limited to a single town, but involves simultaneous pressure on multiple points to overwhelm the Russian defenses. In response, Russian forces are trying to leverage the very fortifications the Ukrainians had previously built in these areas. Every defensive position that falls to the Russians is transformed into a new line of resistance that impedes any subsequent advance. This is what makes the battles here extremely complex. Just as Russian forces faced difficulty in seizing fortified positions before, the Ukrainians are now encountering a similar challenge in retaking areas where Russian forces are well entrenched. This is the current picture on the Minograd axis, where both sides are exchanging control and pressure in an open battle that relies on fortifications and reciprocal attacks. Dnipro axis now. Let's turn to the Dnipro axis. In this direction, Ukrainian forces are continuing the offensive operations we've previously discussed, with pressure particularly focused on the towns of Filia and Dashne. In the Filia area, shelling continues at an intensive pace. Meanwhile, toward Dashne, Ukrainian forces made attempts to advance and successfully approached and seized control of the area. The depth of this push reached about 1 kilometer, extending along a front of approximately 5 kilometers, which reflects a wide-scale assault not confined to a single point. The objective of these movements appears very clear. As we have repeatedly mentioned in previous reports, Ukrainian forces are seeking to prevent the Russian army from establishing a foothold in the Dnipro province. If the Russians were to enter this area and secure effective control, it would give them a strong bargaining chip in any future negotiations. Therefore, Ukrainian forces are launching repeated attacks to push the Russians away from Dnipro and halt any attempts to fully annex it into Russian-controlled territory. The operations are not confined to Dnipro alone. The Ukrainians are also conducting parallel operations toward Luhansk. This points to a broader strategy aimed at curbing Russian expansion in the east and preventing them from completing their control of the Donetsk province. The battles here are fierce and ongoing, and every advance or retreat carries significant political and military implications. This is the current situation on the Dnipro axis. We will continue to monitor how events unfold as the mutual pressure persists. Ongoing battles now. We turn to the ongoing battles. In the Pokrovsk direction, clashes are escalating as Russian and Ukrainian forces trade advances and retreats. The most violent and intense fighting, however, is on the Dnipro axis, specifically toward Novoselivka. The area is seeing fierce confrontations, accompanied by continuous artillery and air shelling from both sides, making this one of the most complex fronts at the moment. In short, the overall picture shows that combat operations continue to expand across several fronts, from Kharkiv to Dnipro and Pokrovsk. Each side is trying to leverage its strengths, while simultaneously attempting to disrupt its opponent's movements. To date, there has been no decisive outcome on any of these fronts. What we're witnessing is a constant state of ebb and flow and a continuous exchange of positions. The coming days will be crucial in shaping future developments, but one thing is certain: the battles will continue with significant momentum, making it essential to follow the details to fully understand the conflict.